There's nothing to worry about. You're gonna be just fine. I'm your number one fan.
He just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Listen, asshole!
No, you listen, you little bitch. You hang up on me again, I'll cut you like a fish.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
I am Dracula.
I am eternal, child. I am the eater of worlds and of children.
It is Wednesday night here
on this beautiful night.
I am your host,
Anthony Zaragoza, and welcome back to the return of Nights of Horror Radio. Now, I've always heard the term, dress for the job you want, not the one you have. So today, I thought for the return, wear my little blazer, look nice for the show. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover today on Nights of Horror Radio. Today, we haven't talked about Haunt Season 2024 properly. We haven't really reviewed it. We haven't really gave our thoughts about it. Kane in the chat, shout out Kane. Go check out his latest podcast with Haunt Talk. My good friends over at Haunt Talk, Scott and Rob, interviewed Kane. Very good interview. A lot of great, powerful stuff in there, so go check that out. But there's been a lot to talk about as far as Haunt Season 2024 goes. I know we are midway through November. A lot of stuff that I'm going to talk about tonight with the future of the Nights of Horror channel, where we're going to lead into the rest of 2024, what we're going to go into 2025, what our vision is, all that fun stuff. And I can't wait to talk to you guys. Now, let's address why I've been away for so long. Haven't really done a sit-down video or anything. I have been away because I'm going to be honest with you, I got a little burnt out towards the end of Haunt Season. And that tends to happen with me a lot. So for me to not get burnt out, it's just best that I kind of step away from a little bit, take a little break, and then come back to it. I'm back now. We are back in full gear. A lot of ideas have been cranking. And I cannot wait to share what's next for the future of Nights of Horror and whatnot. But let's jump into Haunt Season 2024. There is a lot to talk about, a lot of good things, a lot of not so good things. So we're going to talk about the best and the worst of Haunt Season 2024. And let's get the worst out of the way. Now, this one is going to be from more a production point of view than a talent point of view, because I don't believe for a second that a talent had anything to do with how this year's event went down. And I'm talking about Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme. Now, this was a huge deal because this was going to be the first haunt that, other than Horror Nights, did an IP style event with the likes of Stranger Things, Trick or Treat, Army of the Dead, the Conjuring universe, Saw, you name it. It was going to be big. There was a lot of hype going around it and everything. Sadly, and we didn't attend the event, but sadly, from everything that I saw, it didn't end up good. It didn't deliver on what I thought was promised. If you guys were at the panel for Midsummer Scream, or if you guys saw it on our YouTube page, there was a lot promised, and I feel like they just didn't deliver on that aspect. I feel like a lot of things were rushed. From what I can remember with Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme, construction didn't start for most of these mazes until like early to mid-August. The event opened in September, like the first weekend of September, the same weekend as Horror Nights opened. So this was a big no. When I saw press night and I saw the videos and I saw a lot of content creators say what they had to say about the event, I was a little disappointed to hear about that. And again, this has nothing to do with the talent. I'm pretty sure talent killed it there this year. But if you're gonna be suggesting, I don't know, maybe a video or like a movie that are these magnitude of movies that are like people are dying to see them as mazes, you need to go all in with them. And I'm not saying they have to be like Horror Nights production, but I expected a little more from Six Flags bringing out IPs. I thought they were going to have a bigger budget. I thought they were going to have a lot of things that they were going to bring out, a lot of surprises. Didn't end up that way, so we were a bit let down with Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme. Now, I got to talk about the bad for Halloween Horror Nights this year. Halloween Horror Nights 2024 on paper sounded terrific. It did. It really did. I mean, a lot of great stuff that was announced that was coming to the event. A lot of great stuff that we were asking for years, and it finally came, and whatnot. Let's break down Halloween Horror Nights 2024. Now, we're going to start down in the lower lot with The Weeknd, Universal Monsters, Eternal Bloodlines, and Dead Exposure, Death Valley. I would have to say the strongest maze down there this year was The Weeknd. After Hours Trilogy or Trilogy Nightmare or the Nightmare Trilogy, whatever they called it. That was probably the best. We only went twice, and we went both for the opening weekend. We went opening night and then that Saturday. And Weekend, I would say, had the best scares for us down there. Some of the best moments that I remember as far as mazes go. So yeah, Weekend, it was The Weeknd. I do apologize if the sound bit didn't work because I didn't hear it come through my headphones. I had to redo my PC stuff, and it did take out a lot of the stuff, so I do apologize if you do redeem something and it doesn't go through. Maybe the next stream I'll have that fixed. I kind of was in a rush time setting up this stream, so I do apologize if you guys do redeem stuff. Maybe save it for the next stream, but I did see that you redeemed emotional damage, so I'll just recreate it. Emotional damage. Yeah, Horror Nights, I think, so when you go into, Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, I thought the story for that maze was phenomenal. I thought it had a lot of potential, but every time I went through it, it was never fully casted. Same thing with Death Valley, Dead Exposure. I was very excited for this concept. Original maze, something they brought over from Orlando, put a new spin on it over here in Hollywood. I was so excited for this. And again, every time I went through it, it just felt empty. Like there was nobody in there, handful of scare actors. There's something that I noticed this year that maybe not the best bang for your buck when you really think about it. Now, early entry has always been, for the longest, outside of these last 2 years, I believe, has been a free thing to come with a Halloween Horror Nights ticket. Up until last year and this year, they charged $10 extra for early entry. Now, here is the kind of theory and hypothesis that I'm going to lay on to you, the kind of things that I noticed for this season, at least. I think that early entry in the end is not worth the extra $10. Here's why I think that. I did early entry for our first night at Halloween Horror Nights opening night. We had the day-night combo. We got there early. We wanted to go to see Nintendo World. That was the only reason why Hayes and I bought the day-night combo, because none of us had seen Super Nintendo World. None of us had been on the new Mario Kart ride, wanted to do it, so we did it. We got out, I think it was about 6 o'clock, and mazes were already starting to form lines. So we get in line for the weekend. We think that was going to be like the longest one down there. Oh, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was back there too. And I noticed that with early entry, if you go at the certain time that these mazes open, these houses open, we got the Vertigo in here. Happy birthday. Belated birthday. Now it's a new day, but yesterday was Mooch's birthday, so happy birthday to Mooch. Yeah, I just think that early entry just is not worth it because we were going through a lot of these houses and they were not fully casted, and it was kind of sad to see a lot of dead areas where you knew someone was supposed to be, or you knew an actor was supposed to be somewhere, and they were just not there. And it kind of ruins the whole illusion or world they're trying to, bring you in when there's nobody there to kind of scare you. in the areas they're supposed to. Now, I feel like if you're gonna do an early entry charge now for that extra $10, because I know it's mostly for people to do all the mazes, I feel like you need to have a whole ass cast that can fill the entire house for like that first hour or two to just scare. That way, everyone who buys early entry has that opportunity of seeing a maze while it's fully staffed. I was a little disappointed in this, especially because, like I said, this is $10 now. We didn't pay for it. It came with our day-night combo, so there's a little hack for you right there. If you want to avoid buying the early entry, just buy a day-night combo ticket. That is your ultimate best bet because they automatically just give it to you because you're already in the park. But it's just a disappointment to find out that you pay this money now for early entry, and then like most of these mazes are not even casted fully. So it's kind of a bummer when you walk through this maze and then, it's not casted and you had high expectations for it. And then it just was a letdown because 4 or 5 people were not in their spots. And it does really make a difference, especially with Halloween Horror Nights. I can't say the same for a lot of other haunts, but for Halloween Horror Nights specifically, because they focus on, the trigger scares and certain spots and those scene moments, it is important to have a cast there so I can know what I'm getting immersed into. I'm just saying, that's just my rant on it. You may agree with it, you may not agree with it, but that if you're gonna start doing a early entry program, I think you need to have a cast that comes in just to scare from those hours, and then maybe they get off a little bit earlier than everyone else. But you need to have a cast ready to go, fully staffed for these mazes, because it's just sad that I have to go through these mazes, and then sometimes I don't even get a good experience going through these mazes. Point in case, let's talk about our next maze, which was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This was one that I was super stoked for because of the fact that it was an IP that they turned into an original maze, its own story, all 50 years of the legacy of Leatherface. It was all there. It sounded great. It looked great. It fucking smelt horrible, which that made it great because that immersed me into there. But the lack of cast really showed out the 2 nights that we went. And the second night we went, we even waited till 7 o'clock till opening of the event because we had front of the line tickets for that day, so we weren't worrying about early entry. And it was still bad with fucking with casting. So like, I don't know. I just think they need to cast more. I know that there has been a shortage of people wanting to audition since before the pandemic. Because I've known that, it just seems like more and more people are dropping out, every single year, or even like the first weekend because they just can't handle it. So, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was another disappointment on my list, especially because the opening night that we went, the last room that you go in once you go back into the original house and they do that iconic scare of him opening the door and then, fucking having to, get that scare of Leatherface jumping out. I didn't even get to see that, dude. Like, I walked through their opening night and the door was already broken. Like, an actor already had broken the door, so they had the maintenance people or the build crew had to come out during the run of that opening night, and I was watching them fucking fix the door. And then I went back again that Saturday, and the door was just open, no actor in that room. So it was like, well, at the very least, like, play, like, you can't slam the door, but at least try, play the room a little bit. It was just overall disappointment. And then, Universal Eternal Bloodline, same issue, was an incredible story, but I felt like I didn't get to see everything that I wanted to see. However, the every time we went in there, the energy was there, and between both walkthroughs that I got to go through, I got to see just about everybody and everything that it had to offer. But there was, the nights that I did go, it was just it kind of becomes one of those things where you less cast kind of brings down the experience a little bit. Dead Exposure, like I said, the same thing. It was ultimately disappointment. I missed a lot compared to a lot of walkthroughs that I had seen on like TikTok, other friends who made videos about the event. Like, I missed a lot, and now I know I'm going to do a trip in the beginning of the season and at the end of the season for Halloween Horror Nights. That way I have time now to see how it started versus how it ended. So next year, look out for that. I think we usually only do 2 Horror Nights trips these days because of how expensive it is. But that is the plan, to do one in the beginning of the season and one towards the end of the season, so I can see all the changes. I can see all the things that I didn't get to see the first time around. And there is a lot. You will see changes across haunts as the weeks go on. Something always changes. There's notes always being given to the actors, the crews, everything. So, yeah, I think I just needed to go. I think I need to do that next year. What about Scary Farm? We're going to get to Scary Farm right now, actually, or a little bit, where we're going to finish up Horror Nights, and then Scary Farm is next on my list. But I got a lot of positives to say about Scary Farm. We're talking about the worst right now of haunt season. Yeah, you know, and Terror Tram was a lot of fun this year. I had a lot of fun on the Terror Tram. That was a lot of fun. Very much loved the theming of that. And then I did enjoy A Quiet Place and Monsteros 2. That was those are 2 really strong, solid mazes, and Quiet Place was just such a shocker. Ghostbusters, same problems. There was a lot of effects that I wanted to see that I never got to see both nights that I went. One of the big effects being the Ecto-1. I never once, out of both walkthroughs that I went to, ever saw that thing move out and light up and actually do the horn and everything. Bit of a disappointment, because I am a pretty good big Ghostbusters fan, and the Ecto-1 is one of those iconic horns that when the siren goes off, you just kind of know what it is, you know, and I never got to hear it or see it, so that was kind of a disappointment. But I think the cast of Ghostbusters Afterlife, or what was it? Frozen Empire. I think they did a phenomenal job. It was great. Both walkthroughs that we went through, I think, were really strong. But again, there was those certain effects or anything that when you work with special effects, you know, and they don't work, it just kind of sucks to see that it's just turned off, or that how much darker the room gets because those lighting effects are not working or something. So yeah, it was a bit of a bummer to go through Ghostbusters, but also, like I said, the cast, I think, was what saved it for me, and they killed it. So there's that. Of course, we also had Insidious. Insidious for me was probably the weakest Insidious that they have brought to the event, and all the times they brought Insidious. A lot of black walls, honestly, and I know a lot of people were saying this was the scariest one, but I didn't see how scary it was. Like you know, there were some moments here and there, but not in the, you know, from. I thought Monsteros 2 was a little bit scarier. That's all I'm gonna say on that, but. Overall, if I had a grade Horror Nights this year, an honest review, I would give it honestly like a probably 6.5 out of 10 this year. There was a lot of things to like about it, and there was a lot of fun things. The scare zones were phenomenal, obviously, as every year they are. So I would give honestly Horror Nights a good 6.5 out of 10 this year. Again, it was one of those events that on paper looked great, but then just wasn't the best when executed. On top of that, the merch was not the best this year. It looked very rushed. However, I did buy a couple things. I bought some lanyards, I bought a hat, and then I got the Slash record signed. So that was really cool. If you guys know, they were giving out vinyl Slash records this year of all the Universal Monsters music that he's done for those mazes on vinyl, and I got a signed copy of it, and that was really cool. Shout out to Hayes for that one. She knew I was on the hunt for one of those, and the fact that we got one, and we got one signed by Slash himself, that was really cool. So yeah, overall 6.5 out of 10 this year for Horror Nights, and yeah, let's move on to now. People want to hear about Knott's Scary Farm, so let's move on to Knott's Scary Farm. Now, this was the 51st edition of Knott's Scary Farm, and I have to say, such a good year, 100%. Like I was blown away. Now, for starters, you know, we went to this haunt more than any haunt this season, and that's due to the fact that they have a very reasonable season pass with a parking pass added to it. That's just the best bang for your buck, saves you a ton of money, and you get discounts with the pass for food and merchandise. You also, we bought the souvenir cup, so we got free refills throughout the entire season. All in all, I think this is the haunt that saves you the most money, even though it does cost a lot of money if you want to buy some things or eat or drink. Whatever it may be, I feel like this haunt is the best bang for your buck. Now, I think that 51, in my opinion, was a little bit better than 50, but 50 is still a very memorable one for me. 51, I think, executed everything it needed to. We had 2 brand new mazes, Widows and 8 Fingers 9, the Boogeyman. I have to say, and as far as anyone knows, no one knows already, but everyone already knows, Widows scared the fuck out of me this year. I am terrified of spiders. And the fact that this maze was an entire spider maze from the fucking very beginning when you see the goddamn facade to when you actually get in to the very first room to the end of that maze is fucking spiders everywhere. Sammy wanted to go through this one with me. He came out that weekend, flew out just so he can go through that maze with me. Rob wanted to see me go through it. So many people were bagging on me. I think I went into this maze a total of 3 times this season. 3 or 4 times, I think, out of the entire season. Yeah, it was fuck that maze, but a beautiful maze. You know, like fuck it because it was scary because of, you know, for me, but other people might see it different, you know? I mean, but it was beautiful because the way it was designed, you know, all the little details of painting, just everything, just costuming, just the overall look and feel of the place just felt eerie, felt uncomfortable. And, you know, I heard a lot of people this year give the same words, and that's good. Knott's hit it out of the park with Widows. There was not one night this year that maze didn't have the longest line. And I thought overall Widows was terrifying as fuck. But it was such a beautiful maze. Congratulations, Knott's, with that one. The closing year. Let's talk about Eight Fingers 9, the Boogeyman, actually. Eight Fingers 9, the Boogeyman, another new maze for 2024. I was a huge fan of this maze. A lot of people weren't, and I can tell because the lines were very, very low every single night we would go. I think I went through this maze outside of Waxworks. I think this was the maze that I went through the second most this year. I loved everything about Eight Fingers 9, just the story. A lot of people didn't understand the story. Very simple story to understand. I went through it a lot, so that's probably why I got it more and more. But I love the story. I love the whole aesthetics. I love the set design. The character itself looks terrifying, and a lot of the animatronics and like little tricks and stuff they did in this maze was just beautiful. Eight Fingers 9, I think, was a very underrated maze this year, where I think a lot of people were excited for it when it came, and then once they went through it, that was just kind of it. Like, no one didn't want to go through it again. No one wanted to show it the love it deserved. I absolutely loved Eight Fingers 9. I think it was a great start. I can't wait to see the improvements of new casts shuffling in and out for next season, see how they do it, how they approach the maze, and how they approach the characters. That's going to be a lot of fun to see that. But Eight Fingers 9 was just beautiful. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to go back through that one again. Now, 2 mazes did close in that exact same area of Gypsy Camp this year, and that was Bloodline 1842 and, of course, Waxworks, the final years of Waxworks and Bloodlines 1842. And I have to say, beginning and end of the season for both these mazes. Now, if you guys were watching the channel all season, we did some fun stuff with Waxworks. I'm a little kind of bummed out that I didn't get to do the same exact video challenge for Bloodline 1842. I do apologize for that. I just never could find the time to get out there and film that one. That was a lot to do for Waxworks. If anyone, if you want more of the behind the scenes of that, let me know and I will talk about that more. But that video, we walked through Waxworks for an hour straight. And we did it, I think, on a Thursday night or Friday night. I don't remember. And we did it like the last 2 hours of the event. I think I did it like the last 2 hours because it was a Friday night. And I just went through Waxworks for like an hour straight. I wasn't trying to disrespect the cast. I wasn't trying to do anything. I like watching those videos where people do the same thing for like a certain amount of time. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen in the haunt world. So I'm going to try it. Of course, there's a lot of trial and error when you film one of these videos. Now I know what I need to do better next time if I do something like that again next year. But I had a lot of fun. I was a little crazy afterwards because you don't realize it after walking through for an hour straight how loud these fucking mazes are. Like, I used to see people, the actors wear earplugs and stuff like that. I didn't realize, because you only go through it and you're not really paying attention to like the noise or anything. You're more or less paying attention to the scares, the scenery, all that. The noise is kind of there as just background. I did not realize how fucking loud these speakers were on in these mazes, man. It was something where, like, by the end of it, I was just like, I kind of had the entire maze fucking memorized by the end of the whole thing. And shout out to the talent this year for closing out Waxworks. I mean, you guys killed it. I had a lot of interactions with you when we filmed that 1 hour video. You guys were on fire, and we would continue to go through at least once a night for the rest of the season after that. And yeah, you guys killed it. The last night we went through, it was great to say goodbye to Waxworks one last time. The same thing with Bloodlines, man. That last night we went, it was on fire, man. They were giving it their all in that maze, and I have to give credit where credit is due. We actually did film our last walkthroughs of Waxworks and Bloodlines. I have it on my camera. I got to go through some footage. We have another video that I got to release too that Hayes and I came up with. We had a great time with those ones, and I feel like whatever comes next, I mean, the Bloodline spot is infamous with Paranormal, man. So whatever they put there next, I'm excited for. Whatever goes in Waxworks' location, I'm excited for. Trick or Treat was there before Waxworks, and that was a fantastic maze. So whatever they put there, I'm excited to see. I cannot wait. And I feel like next year, if you're going to go to the event, the best thing probably for you would be the buffet, because not only will you have those 2 fresh mazes from last year back there, which with Widows and 8 Fingers 9, you'll have 2 brand new mazes as well. So the buffet next year will probably be the best bet, so you can get those early entry and hit those 4, and those will be your 4 most crowded. So get them out of the way before the event starts, and do that. I will say there were nights that were very packed, but we got through it. Lines weren't too bad most nights we went, and I constantly advocate this, but you can do this event all on a general admission ticket in one night. It's very doable. I've talked to people do it. And whatnot. What is the longest running Not Scary Farm maze? Right now, it would have to be, I think it's Origins is the last one from 2019, I think. Origins Mesmer. Yeah, Origins is the longest running maze right now. That was the last one from 2019 that is still around, and I think next year might be its last year. Don't know entirely yet, but what's the longest farm of all time? That's a good question. Let's do some research on that. Let's see if we can find that on the internet. There's been a lot of mazes. If anyone's a freaking Knott's history buff in the chat, let me know if you guys have the answer to that. What's the longest reigning Knott's Scary Farm maze? Let's see. In history. I don't want the first maze. Okay, well, I will do some research on that. I have to go through their catalog just to see all their mazes they've done and how long they were there for. Usually Knott's keeps a maze anywhere from 3 to 6 years, depending on the popularity of the maze and if it keeps, driving people to go through it. They'll keep it for a good amount of time. Paranormal Entity. I'm sorry, no. What was it called? Paranormal. You can call it Paranormal. Paranormal was there for a while, and that was a fan favorite. That was there for like 6 years, 7 years. So it depends really on the popularity. Like I said, I got to go back to see the catalog of mazes that they've done in the past. But yeah, Room 13 got an improvement this year. Room 13 was the biggest thing that we had a problem with was they were playing the same exact song tempo for the entire maze, and it didn't stop. This year, they mixed the track together. They made some improvements. Room 13 fucking killed it this year. Goring 20s killed it this year. Ghost Town. I got to talk about this. My only issue with Ghost Town this year was I felt like it felt more like a show / performance in Ghost Town than it did a scare zone. Now, it wasn't all monsters that I saw. There was a few here and there that I saw doing stuff, and it kind of would take me out of the zone for a little bit, because when I walk through the scare zones, I like to get scared. I really do. It wasn't everyone in the thing. I couldn't even remember to tell you who it was, but there were times we would walk through and it was just kind of flooded with just cameras, and like, I understand people taking pictures. I don't give a shit about that. It's more or less who they were pointing it towards, and it was like just causing traffic and just causing disruption for other people who were trying to actually scare. I don't know. Ghost Town for me was the scare zone, and this year, like, I had its moments. It was fun. It was good, but I don't know. It feels like it's not as scary as it used to be, and it's not everyone's fault, because there are people out there that are still scaring and still fucking doing a great job at their job. But it's just there's times where there's a little too many show moments, and it's cool to have those. That's great and all, but when it becomes longer than an hour and it keeps going and then everything, it's like, I kind of just want to get scared. I love the story, I love the lore, and I respect it. I respect that you took the time to do all this, but there's just some nights I just want to get scared, and I just want to have a good time. I want to walk through a scare zone and just fucking, someone I know scares the shit out of me. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. But there was a lot of new people on Ghost Town this year, and to all the new people who came out this year, congratulations and kudos to you. You guys did a great job out there, and I can't wait to see how you guys evolve your characters and going into next year. So that should be a lot of fun. Grimoire was good again this year. Grimoire was a fun time. Always have fun with the Grimoire. Cinema Slasher and Mesmer, fantastic, always fantastic. Cinema Slasher continues to just be one of my favorite mazes that Knott's has ever produced. Carnival was a breath of fresh air this year. They did a complete revamp. They gave everyone specific characters, and a lot of people came up with some really creative stuff. I think Carnival, hands down, was my favorite scare zone this season. And it's a hard one because I have two favorite scare zones this season. It's going to come down to what I thought was ultimately the best. And that also goes to Forsaken Lake. Forsaken Lake this year was just on a whole new level. Like, they took that energy that they had from last year and they bumped it up like fucking 10 times. And Forsaken Lake was just on another level this year. Like, for those who used to talk shit about Forsaken Lake and everything, like, I don't think we should anymore, because they're raising the bar as to what a scare zone should and needs to be. And I appreciate the hell out of every time we gone through there. We were always treated good, and a lot of great friends that worked in that scare zone this year that we got to interact with a lot this season. But overall, the scare factor, I would just sit there some nights and just watch them scare. And it was just fucking phenomenal. It was old school, not Scary Farm. And with Carnival, the fact that they had all these brand new characters and everyone got creative with that, and the way they approached the characters and the way they approached the guest with these characters, Carnival did a great job this year. And I cannot wait to see what they pull out next year. The Gauntlet also was another scare zone that we had very low on our list going into 2024, but I think I jumped it up even more coming out of 2024. And this was probably like one of the years that it's very hard for me to determine what my favorite scare zone of all time was, because Gauntlet in my eyes did really good, Forsaken Lake did really good, Carnival did good, Goring 20s did really good, Ghost Town had its moments that did really good. It's really hard to choose what I would pick as my number one zone. We'll probably do a video of that soon. We talk haunt and horror all year round here on the Nights of Horror. So even when it's going to be Christmas, we're going to be talking horror haunt. I guarantee it. But I think that overall, I think that and Chilling Chambers, again, there was a lot of stuff that they changed that I wasn't completely a fan of, like the Crypt Keeper. I don't know if that was a rights issue or just like a a likeness issue or whatnot, but they changed a lot of stuff with the narrator of the maze, and yeah, it was minor differences that kind of was like, okay, that's interesting, but we'll go with it. And then we saw Carnival du Grotesque. I didn't get to see the hanging this year. A little disappointed in that, but we did see Carnival du Grotesque, and that was really good this year. So yeah, overall, I just think Knott's solid year this year. Solid 9.5 out of 10 for me. A lot of great artwork at the Into the Fog art show. A lot of great merchandise this year. A couple things that were not so great. We still don't understand the entire idea of the exclamation point shirt. If you guys can explain that to us a little bit more, I'd probably be more eager to buy it. But I didn't understand that. So, yeah, I think overall, it was such a good season this year. And I cannot wait to see what they pull out for next year, what the next two mazes are going to be in the back, and all that fun stuff. Now, we're going to take a short break here. We're going to listen. I got some Anthrax loaded up right here next. Got the Time by Anthrax, one of my favorite thrash metal bands. A lot of people's favorite thrash metal bands. Part of the Big Four. Such an iconic band. We got a little Got the Time coming up. But when we come back, we're going to talk Los Angeles Haunted Hayride, and some other little indie haunts. And, of course, we're going to get into some Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. And later on in the show, future Nights of Horror and all that good stuff. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick song break. And when we come back, we're talking more haunt stuff right here on Nights of Horror Radio.
To Nights of Horror
Radio. That was Anthrax with Got the Time. Anybody got the time right now? It is 12:46 in the morning right here on a Thursday morning now, I guess. We are back, and we were talking about, of course, the best and worst of Haunt 2024. And I have to tell you, man, there's a lot of great highs and lows of 2024 for Haunt season. And we already, talked a lot about, of course, Not Scary Farm, Halloween Horror Nights, and Six Flags Fright Fest Extreme for 2024. Now, we're going to turn the tables over to some other haunts we attended this year. We're going to start with the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. And I have to say, this year was a massive improvement for the event, and I was just blown away by what they put out. My mic did cut out. Are we good? Are we back on? Are we good? I think we're good. Yeah, it's back. Cool. Awesome. I think that Hayride this year was just a phenomenal time. I had a great time. There was a lot of improvements this year with the mazes and everything, and it was just overall such a great time. I really enjoyed the event all around, and we got free tickets for that one, courteous of 13th Floor Entertainment at Midsummer Scream, and we enjoyed it. We had a great time. I mean, the Hayride, it was lacking some actors, but it's the same thing as always. But the mazes themselves were probably massive improvements this year, with two brand new mazes at the event, and it was overall just a great time. I think we had a fun time at this one. We got done with this one pretty early. We got there, I think, around 8:00, and we finished around like 11:30. So it's a very short event. It's a fun time, but we had a good time with this one. So yeah, I think out of all, I think with Hayride, I would give it easily like an 8 out of 10 this year. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time this year, and kudos to them for improving. Now, we also got to go to Delusion this year. Delusion this year was, it was good. I mean, it was really good. Location was phenomenal, and the story was just great. I mean, we had a very talented cast this year for Delusion. And I keep saying, man, Delusion, if you want to be immersed into a horror film, this is one of the events you go to. And I only say one of them because there is a lot more out there that I can recommend for you guys. But for haunt season, this is one of them that you go to. They don't touch. There's no contact. It's a theatrical / like haunt experience where you this year they had it at a Victorian house, castle looking house out in Los Angeles. And it was a beautiful location. I think me and Hayes were more blown away by the actual scenery of the the actual place than the story itself. But the story was phenomenal too this year. I have to say, I did see a lot of similarities to Zoe Reborn. I am going to throw that out there. I'm just being honest. But for the most part, I like what they did with Delusion this year. Again, fantastic cast, great immersion. Now, here's my bone to pick with Delusion. Great haunt. Always get great locations. However, I feel that the only way you're going to have the best experience at this haunt performance, whatever you want to call it, is if you buy the VIP experience. And this year, the VIP experience was a little too pricey. Now, it was already pricey enough for general admission. I think I paid somewhere around $120 to $150 a ticket for an hour experience. But now it's a very immersive hour experience, and it's great. We went through pretty much all the house. But the VIP experience to this event offers a lot more stuff that you just can't do with general admission. If you get there early, this is the stuff that you can capitalize on doing. But we had regular general admission. We got there a little bit early, and it was mostly just a waiting game for me and Hayes. Like, we just kind of sat around. We don't really drink. We weren't really hungry. We had eaten before we got there, and there was not really any merch that we wanted to get. For VIP, they had a little extension to the bar. They had their own little bar area, and then they had like an attic thing that you can go up and do an experience up there. And then they have an experience where, this is famous with Delusion, with the VIP packages, they put you a part of the event of the show. So there was a scene, I believe the part that the VIP got to participate this year was, there's a scene where you go into the basement, and it's a really cool looking corridor, catacomb looking basement. And you go down to this basement to see what the creator, or like the father, he's trying to summon or whatnot. And as you guys are leaving and have to kind of essentially blow up the mansion, you're getting chased out by all these people, all these inmates, because you're supposed to be in this asylum. And I think the VIP this year was, you get to be one of those inmates that get to chase the people out. We didn't get to do it last year, the VIP experience, but there was a experience, and we got to see what it was, and that was really cool. But yeah, I think the only way to do this is with VIP. But unfortunately, this year VIP was like $170 a ticket, and we're buying for two, so it's me and Hayes that usually do this. And that was not in our budget this year. We barely could just fork out the money to do the general admission. So, when it's all said and done, yes, your best bet for Delusion is VIP, but it's a little pricey. I'll be honest with you. Overall, 9 out of 10 for Delusion this year, for sure. Good story. Great time. Santa Ana Haunt, a little independent haunt that came out of Santa Ana. They had a location this year in Anaheim at the Garden Walk. Got to do that for the first time. We've always gone through their Midsummer Scream walkthroughs. We've never gotten through a full walkthrough during the season. Just never could find the time. This year, the stars aligned. We talked to Chewy, and Chewy took care of us. Big shout out to Chewy over at Santa Ana Haunt. He and his team put on a phenomenal haunt every single year. This year, I will be the first to say they made pro. They bought a location, and they put up a pro haunt this year, and and they were always a pro haunt no matter where they were. They always put on great work, and even at Midsummer Scream, from the previews that I would see, such great work. They went pro for sure this year with this location at the Anaheim Garden Walk, and I cannot be more proud and impressed of what I saw this year, especially with the very little cast that they had. I was getting scared in every single room. I know there was probably like 5 or 6 actors, but they worked every single room and made sure that we had an experience to get scared in every single room, and they did a phenomenal job. There is no bad words to say about Santa Ana Haunt OC Nightmare this year. They did a freaking phenomenal job. And the night we went, Scott Dieterman, our good friend Scott Dieterman, he got to guest there, so that was a lot of cool to see him pull out some pyro, do that. I got to see that a couple times this season. That was really cool. So that was really fun. And then, we did, it's starting to all become a blur to me now. We did the Beetlejuice experience. We were supposed to do that when the movie came out. I think I had COVID around that time, so we didn't do it. So we finally got to do it in October after the movie came out, and we didn't even watch the movie. I think we just watched the movie, or we didn't watch the movie yet. But we got to go to it. That was a fun time, great time. And of course, I'm saving this one for last, obviously. I'm just trying to make sure that I went through and got everything. Oh, East Whittier Middle School, hands down, continued another banger year for East Whittier Middle School. I think they did a phenomenal job this year with their haunted attraction at the school. They only do it for 2 days, and then they take it down. So they kudos to them. They did a medieval time like castle haunt this year that was just unbelievable. And they only take up like half of the gym. Like imagine if they were to get like the entire gym, they could make it an extraordinary, even more extraordinary haunt. But what they put on every single year is fantastic. I can't wait to see what they do next year. We've been working closely with them for 2 years in a row. They invited us out. We cover them. And they're huge fans and super supportive of what we do. The kids, we get comments and stuff from our videos of the kids calling out who they played in the mazes. So that's really cool. And the kids look like they're having a great time, man. And it's for a good cause. All the money that they raise for that maze goes towards their music program at East Whittier Middle School. So it goes towards a good cause. And they invite us out for free every single year. But Hayes and I, we always donate $20 each. Like we always do. It's just something that as a token of our appreciation, here's a $20 donation towards the music program. So that is awesome. They did a hell of a good job this year, and I cannot wait to see what they do next year. All right. Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. Now, this one was the one we were talking about a lot this year, this haunt season, going into 2024 season. This was the big comeback of Dark Harbor since 2019. Did it disappoint or did it deliver? Is Dark Harbor back for good? Dark Harbor 100% did deliver this year. I can confirm that with confidence. We got to go 3 times this season. And each time we went, we saw something that we loved. It got better and better. Dark Harbor just had that feeling again that this is the event that is supposed to be here from the months of September through October. And they did a phenomenal job. This new team, that already kind of had worked Dark Harbor, but now are taking these new management positions, came in and took the vision of what would Dark Harbor look like if it never closed and it continued to go to 2024. We're picking up where we left off last. And they did just that. They brought back some iconic characters, some iconic people playing those characters. And overall, just absolutely killed it. It was such a great event. To all those who worked the event, whether you were talent, whether you helped build it, whether you were management, whether you were, whatever you did to contribute to Dark Harbor 2024, thank you. My girlfriend is a diehard fan of Dark Harbor, so the biggest critic that you're going to hear on this channel later on when we do that video is her thoughts and opinions about Queen Mary's Dark Harbor. I've only been in 2019, so I'm going based off what I felt from 2019. My girlfriend's been going a little bit longer than I have, so it is. She was more critical about the event, and even she loved it. She was happy that it was back. She had some minor little tweaks and details that she would change for next year or whatnot. But for the most part, I think she had a great time. It was amazing every single time that we went to see a giant smile on her face, because I know that this was the haunt that she loved the most. I mean, when I got with her, I got to introduce her to, all these other haunts. She's never been to Knott's Scary Farm before me. She'd never been to Halloween Horror Nights, never been to the Hayride, never been to any of these haunts other than Dark Harbor. And now she's starting to expand that world. And, the fact that Dark Harbor came back, it was a big one for her. And she was very excited to be at the Queen Mary, a place that she already loves to go to, and then an event that she already loves, which was Dark Harbor. So, all in all, it was great. All the mazes were great. Feast, Lullaby, Infirmary, Big Top Circus, Breakout, all of them just were phenomenal. Slider Show was incredible. It was great to see so many legends return, and so many people that were part of that 2019 class or before that to come back to scare for a night or scare for like half the season or scare for most of the season. Like, it was just Dark Harbor again. You had to be there to see it. I would say a solid, and this is coming from me, a solid 10 out of 10 this year. That was probably, I'm not going to lie, my favorite haunt this season. Hands down, Dark Harbor was probably the best haunt for me this season. And that is hard to say because Knott's killed it this season. And it's a tie between Knott's and Dark Harbor, but Dark Harbor is it's like that 51-49 and Dark Harbor is that 51. I think that they did an incredible job. I cannot wait to see what they pull out for next year. A little sad that, the Admiral, that's it for him. He's done forever. But I'm glad he got to come back, reprise the role, a newer role actually, and just play that character for the last 2 weeks. And I'm glad I got to see it. I got to interact with the Admiral. So Admiral, shout out to you, man. You did great. The Ringmaster, she came back, and this was her last season, and she did most of that season. And big shout out to her. She did amazing. Slider X, Bricks. It was so great to see you guys do what you do. You guys go back to the shipwreck days, and I've always said you guys have been the Dogtown of the sliding world. So it was great to see you guys come back. Ruby was out there. Great to see my boy Ruby. Omar Lone Star was out there. And it was so great to see him out there where he belongs. I got to see him at Shacktober last year, but to see him at Dark Harbor where he got pretty much his start and where he made a name for himself. It was great to see him out there. I know Matt scared a couple nights. I know Mooch went back. I know Creep went back. So many people got to go back. I didn't get to see that. I got to see Killis. I got to see all these people, man. It was just like a giant fucking time machine. I swear to God. There was that last night we went and we saw all the people that we did. And it was just like a fucking time machine, man. Like, it was the coolest fucking thing ever. Like, Dark Harbor had so many great surprises throughout the season that, like, I wish I could have been there every single night almost. Because, that when they did, and they did an amazing Slider Show tribute for Squeaks this past year. And they brought a bunch of people back, and that was the night to go. I think that was probably Dark Harbor's best night of all time for this season. Hands down. If you got to go to that night, dude, kudos to you. And I know there was a lot of people in the community that did go that night because they had off at Knott, so they came over to Dark Harbor. Kudos to you guys. I mean, that was probably the best. And unfortunately, I didn't get to go that night. But, incredible season this year, Dark Harbor. And I'm so glad you guys are back with full force. I hope we get to see bigger and better next year as well as continue to grow that event, bring it back to where it was before the pandemic. So a great start, hands down, great start for what you guys did this year. And I was very impressed, and it felt like Dark Harbor again. My only complaint, just got one complaint. Bring back the opening of the gates. I think the opening of the gates is such a staple and icon to Dark Harbor from the years that I've seen so far. And I feel like just waiting in that area and then having the monsters on the other side kind of hyping you up and them coming out. That ceremony where you just had the captain talk, the ringmaster talk. I missed that ceremony. Don't get me wrong. The stage thing they did this year to, highlight each one of the mazes and all the icons and stuff. I thought that was incredible. That was a great tribute. I just missed the opening of the gates. The opening of the gates was just something that when it happened, you just had to be there to feel that. That feeling alone was just incredible. And I want to feel that again. So that is basically my best and worst of 2024 haunt season right there. Overall, I think this haunt season was a strong one, and I cannot wait to see what 2025 has to bring. On top of that, some more haunt news that, year round this shit goes. We got our first look and announcement of Horror Unleashed, the year-round Halloween Horror Nights that is being built right now in Las Vegas, Nevada. And it looks like we got the names of the first 4 mazes that we will be getting at Horror Made here in Las Vegas. This is an exciting one for the haunt community, for the horror community all around. You've never seen a year-round like haunt like this, like multiple mazes, scare zones, all that stuff. You've never seen this done. And Universal is taking a chance. They're building something there. They got Epic Universe coming out with the Dark Universe. We're going to talk about that very soon. There's a lot to talk about that. And overall, I just think what they're doing with the horror genre alone, Universal is bringing all these attractions year round is just incredible. So our first 4 houses that will be at Horror Unleashed. Now this will be something that gets rotated. I don't know how often, but our first 4 are going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a Universal Monster Maze of some sort, which I hope it's the original 2018 one. That would be incredible. Scarecrow the Reaping and The Exorcist Believer are our first 4 mazes for the event. I've seen all of them, so hopefully they can do something different. Hopefully they can build stuff more to scale. I hope to God we don't got black walls, because these are going to be attractions that are going to be year round, so these better be like permanent kind of looking attractions. I'm excited to see what the scare zones are looking like. It looks like they're gonna have a lot of cool bars, a lot of cool experiences to check out. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking sick. And I cannot wait to see when this opens. Now, I believe opening date is haunt season of next year, so around September, October next year, 2025, out in Las Vegas. We went, I think, back in June, and we did a little construction video on our Instagram page that you can find if you go back that far. But the entire building is up. Now it's just all interior work and exterior work and building parking lots and everything, which I am assuming they'll do that last, obviously. But now it's just time to do all the interior work and build everything. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a big location. If you've ever been to Las Vegas, it's right behind Area 15. You can see the construction ground. You see all the gates blocked off. You can actually see the building itself. It looks very similar to the concept art we were promised. Super excited for this. It looks like a lot of Orlando icons will be making a appearance at this event. So I'm excited to see what they do with this, man. Here's the thing that needs to happen, though, in order for this to be a financial success. You need to make your prices reasonable for your locals. If your locals are not getting paid, or if they're not getting fair prices to this event for an annual pass or anything, it's going to be a flop and people will lose money. Universal as a whole will lose money. You need to make tickets just affordable. And the reason why I bring that up is if you look at Universal Studios Horror Nights for Hollywood and Orlando right now, tickets are going up every single year due to the popularity of said event. And they're selling out quicker. So make tickets reasonably affordable. I would say if you're going to go through with this, you want to keep your locals happy, because your locals are going to be the main source of your business. Sure, you'll get a lot of tourists coming in and out of this place, but your locals are going to give you the majority of your business. 100%. You just gave them an opportunity to celebrate Halloween year round. Not to mention you gave them an opportunity to celebrate Halloween even more during Halloween. So make tickets affordable, make them reasonable for their audience, and I don't think we'll have a problem. Now, we're going to take another break from Nights of Horror Radio. But when we do come back, we're going to talk about the future of Nights of Horror going into the rest of 2024 and into 2025, what we plan on doing and whatnot. Trust me, we're not going anywhere. We just had a successful title reign for the Try Not to Get Scared champion, 4 years running now. That's me. We got a lot in store for 2025, and we're going to go through some of those details with you after this. Now we're going to play some Danzig with Mother right here on Nights of Horror Radio. We'll be right back. Yeah, you did. Okay, good. Welcome back to Nights of Horror Radio, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to finish this last segment off right here with what we're planning on doing come 2025. Now, a couple questions I've had asked to me this, November was if I'm going to be bringing the podcast back. Now, I am planning on doing the podcast again. Mindless Horror Podcast will be returning. It's not going to be returning until 2025, January, that is. So just give me a little break on that. But when we do return, we're going to do something that we did a little test run on last season of the Mindless Horror Podcast, which we did our takeover months. We had a lot of fun. You guys seem to enjoy the takeover months, and I like to do them kind of a little bit, after the haunt season, because, a lot of people, miss haunt year round. So I like to give some people to listen to things, outside of haunt. So we will be bringing back the Mindless Horror Podcast, January 2025. And I'd like to announce our first theming month this season, and that is going to be we're going to be doing a Carnival takeover. Last year we were fortunate enough to do Goring 20s. We were fortunate enough to do Forsaken Lake. We did an amazing takeover with that. We did a few spring break people. We're going to be starting off strong in January with, of course, the Carnival takeover. I think Carnival this year has a lot of amazing talent that I would love to talk to this season. So I will be contacting some people that I want to talk to. There will be a new podcast every single week in January with a Carnival scare actor. So stay tuned for that. The Carnival takeover will be coming on the Miles Four podcast January of 2025, So once a week in January, every single week, one video, one podcast. I think that's like 4 or 5 podcasts right there. So there you go. I want to do some stuff here on Twitch where we start covering and maybe live watching horror movies together. And I did have some names drawn up for that, just for the hell of it. This is things I've been thinking about for some time. So there's that. And I think for I want to do things right here on Thursdays where I pick a horror movie that I've never seen, and we watch it together, and then I review it, and then I release the review on our channel and whatnot. So I want to start doing that here on Twitch. Every maybe Thursdays we get together and we watch a horror movie live together on Twitch. It will be a one-time only watch through, so it will not be available again after our thing, but we will watch a movie together live. You guys can commentate, you guys can talk about it, all that stuff. That will be called the Frightful Film Club. That is going to be something that we're going to try every Thursdays here on the Nights of Horror Twitch page, just to watch some. There's a lot of horror movies that I've never seen, and I want to start catching up on my catalog of horror movies. So, yeah, Frightful Film Club will be the Thursday show here on Twitch starting in, I believe, January as well as the name of the review show on the Nights of Horror that I want to do, which is going to be called Beyond the Silver Scream. Instead of Scream, Beyond the Silver Scream movie reviews for horror movies. That will be the name of the show. Of course, there's a lot of other things I want to do. I have an unopened box of Scareopoly. I bought the Monopoly Scary Farm last year at the 50th. Bought it. Haven't opened it yet. Haven't even played it yet. I would love it if we can get some scare actors on the show, come down, film at a location, and do a live kind of podcast / playing of Scareopoly. I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I think we can do a new kind of podcast based around that. So, yeah, a lot of stuff going to come in 2025 here on the Nights of Horror. And I'm going into my 5th year as the Try Not to Get Scared champion. So I'm laying down the challenge right now. Any content creator out there who wants a shot at greatness for the Try Not to Get Scared championship, you know where to find me. Scaredy Cat Vasquez already lost twice. He wants to go again. SoCal Tall Guy, I've talked to him. Could be something there. Who's the real tall guy of SoCal? That could be a fun matchup. We shall see. A lot of great stuff going to happen. I also want to try to shoot a short film next year. That is the biggest tippity top of my agenda. I have something written out. I want to start filming it. I want to get it out there by hopefully October, September of 2025, and start doing short films, at least 1 or 2 a year. That's my goal. Hopefully we can get it done next year. I already have a script written out. I just need to cast a sumbitch, plan the dates to freaking film it, get it going. Nights of Horror Radio will be live every single Wednesdays here on the Nights of Horror Twitch page, Wednesday nights at midnight, unless we go to day shift, which is next week. So we may go and do a morning episode of Nights of Horror Radio next Wednesday, but time will tell. But I love talking to you guys. I love being back on the air with you guys here on Nights of Horror Radio, and I appreciate you guys being up this late watching. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, because we do put these out on YouTube afterwards, thank you guys so much for continuing to support the channel. I love each and every one of you. You guys have a amazing night. I had a great time with you guys here on Nights of Horror Radio. I hope you guys had a great night tonight, too. And remember one thing, stay spooky. I'll see you guys next week right here for another edition of Nights of Horror Radio. Until then.